I think the best way to show the value of SAT Universal Reading and Writing is to walk you through a user case scenario. Remember, the goal of this package is to help you train to get ready to study, to prepare for the SAT exam on the reading and writing side. It isn't just to benchmark your score with a module. You can do that anywhere. So let's begin. How would many of my students who are somewhat proficient actually start to use the site? Well, first things first, there's an SAT question bank the College Board makes available for free. It literally has thousands of questions. Everything from Khan Academy to the Blue Book to their own site uses that question bank of questions. So it's all in one place from all those sources. So some of my students like to do the following. They just go right to that material and they'll pull up, say, hard questions for cross-text connections, or what we call paired passages. And this is the low-tech version of getting ready, but hey, it's free. They'll go through question by question by question by question how to do all the questions. And by the time they're done doing that, for all the different sections of the exam, cross-text connections, text structure purpose, words and context, rhetorical synthesis, transitions, boundary questions, so on and so forth, there aren't going to be many surprises left on the exam. They're going to be very well prepared. So on the March exam, a lot of people had trouble. Well, in part, it's because they weren't necessarily fully trained. This resource is free, it's available, and all we do is just provide easy links to access it. And you can do so right here at our homepage. It's a great way to make sure you've seen all the content, all the material of the official questions that you're going to see. And if you're going through all the questions, you probably want to review the answers and answer explanations for questions you got wrong or don't understand. We make that available free as well with a login. So in one simple place, we can go to their answer explanations, again, the hard cross-text connections. You'll have an easy access answer key to check your answers. The correct answer for question number 1 is A. It's an author's agree prompt. We also break it down into the detailed question prompts right here in the answer key, so you can differentiate between those. And you can access our own answer explanations. And why is that significant? Well, if you've ever dealt with some of the official answer explanations, you'll know they look something like this. They're long. And in too many cases, they're not very helpful. In our case, we generally boil, certainly for the hard questions, the answers down to a focused core set of ideas. So as you might know, one of the key skills you want to develop for the reading exam is to boil all the paragraphs of text down to 2 simple logic statements that help you predict an answer. And we provide that. So in this question, for example, text 1 tells us Fletcher is an obvious co-author to a text, but Shakespeare, not clear whether he's the author or not. Text 2 states Shakespeare did in fact co-author with Fletcher based on style. And the question asks this minor question prompt: what do the authors of text 1 and text 2 agree on when they generally disagree overall? The answer is they both believe, based on style, Fletcher was clearly identified as the co-author. And we boil that logical statement down like this. That's essentially what you need to do with your own reading exam. It's a skill you need to develop. And rather than those long answers, we actually produce an answer that's indicative of what you need to do and helps you figure it out more quickly on the exam. And then, of course, you can go into our full video explanation. So you can kind of see our process of reviewing the questions, which is much the way you're going to look at the questions. So it might be very helpful process tips and ways to get at the answer in that. This is all available for free. We have video explanations for the entire question bank. It's much more efficient and insightful providing answers in this format. So now we've studied all the question bank with all the different topics. We have covered the bases. As we saw in the last section with the answer explanations, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. And that boils down to really learning every question prompt the way it's presented on the exam. And if you ever watch videos of near perfect scores, they all seem to have this advice in common. You want to know the question prompts you're going to be seeing on the exam, know how to identify them, and know how to solve them efficiently. So what we do is we break that out in detail. So within, say, cross-text connections, We've got general claims between the two authors, specific underlined claims. What does author one think about this particular quote or this underlined statement from author one? And authors agree. What we just saw is a minor point, not the main issue between the two passages. These prompts will appear on the exam, and you can actually begin to go and learn about each and every one of them. So for example, even as a free access user, I want to learn more about the authors agree, those sort of minor idea prompts. So I can begin to learn about that particular presentation prompt and how do I answer it. And then if I want, I can actually take some practice material with it, focused on specifically that prompt, the authors agree question prompt. And I can begin my quiz to do that. And once I'm finished, I'll see my score and the answer explanation, including the video answers for each of those specific authors agree prompts in this case. And I can go back to my cross-text connections main prompt, where I can then begin to see how I'm doing on authors agree. I'm doing 80%, general claims 50%. I can even see my score by certain subprompts, my scores by difficulty. I can practice them by the particular prompts or even by difficulty in those particular prompts, which is a lot more detail and in-depth than I've seen on other services. And that's really useful because at the end of the day, you have to learn to handle the particular questions you're going to see on the actual exam and how to answer them effectively. We teach you how to answer them, we let you practice by that, and then we let you filter your results by that. So let's talk about that last piece, filtering your results so you can review all your answers as you study, and tracking your performance. That's the last piece of the puzzle. And that's where the premium package comes in. If you try to click to see your answer table, which is a drill down to all your results, you see, oh, I've got to subscribe for the SAT Universal Reading and Writing Package. And from there, you can register. Or alternatively, if I wanted to return to reading, which is all my performance statistics and how I'm doing in each category relative to others, again, I have to register. So that stinks. Other services charge $50, $100, $200 for that or more. Do I have to do that here? No, it's about $10, one-time fee only, about the price of a pizza. And I know if you're in a big city, you probably like New York, you probably say, hey, I can't even get a pizza for $10. No, you probably can't. But you can get pretty much everything you need to prepare for and get really ready for the SAT for about $10. So let's take a look at exactly what that is. So now I'm logged in to the same page, but I'm as a premium SAT Universal subscriber. And I'm going to try to access my answers table. So when I do that, I get all the results of the cross-text connections, those paired passage problems that I've done, for example, because that's the particular focused area I was looking at, the particular prompts therein. I can see what I got wrong, what I got right, very little wrong, did pretty well in those. And I can see how I'm doing in that section. I can see my user rating. So if I rated anything difficult, like a 1 or 2 or 3 stars, I see it right here. So I can actually filter by that information too. I can filter my results to show only the hard questions. I can filter them for correct only, although they're mostly correct already. I can filter them by date or even the specific prompt. So I want to look only at, say, those author agrees questions. How did I do in authors agrees? And I'll see exactly how I did. And I can drill down to my results for each of those. So I want to go back and I want to look at the answer explanations to see more detail on that. Again, I can see the question itself. I can see our explanation, the video explanation. So I can drill down to details on all the questions I work with or worked with in all my specific prompts, thus giving you a lot of power and flexibility to review your results and see what you're doing, learn where you're making mistakes and things like that. Now, also paramount to that is going back to my performance section. I can quickly see what is my performance in all the reading sections? Cross-text connections or paired passage is a part. And I can see all the different subprompts of paired passages, quantitative evidence, transitions, rhetorical synthesis, function, purpose, etc. Well, it looks like I'm doing very well in the cross-text paired passages. As we saw before, I had good results, but overall in reading, I'm about 84, or this user is about 84, even though they're scoring 97% in the cross-text paired passages. So maybe they need to work elsewhere. Well, it's pretty easy to identify where they need to work next. It's on quantitative command of evidence problems. Yeah, that's usually a problem for most students. Words in context. Well, depending on your vocabulary, yeah, that could be an issue for a lot of students as well. Command of evidence, support weakens. Yeah, that's definitely another big area students often need to work on. So you can see the weak areas and you can begin to work on them. Immediately go right down to command of evidence quantitative, where I can see additional lessons or the answer table to show me again my results, which I can filter and sort to look more into what I'm doing right, what I'm wrong, question by question. I can drill down, or I can just begin to do command of evidence focused work. So here I can do any command of evidence problem, or I can even break it into subprompts, the column charts, the line charts, the tables. I can look at the different types of questions by difficulty, by subprompt, or I can go ahead and practice with the goal here of driving up my command of evidence performance. And of course, we have the lessons related to that here to learn more about it if I need to do so. And ideally, I would use that to drive that quantitative command of evidence bar up, 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 until that's no longer an issue, and then I'll work on the next weakest issue. So this is real easy. It's like sitting behind a car and you're in control. You're driving. You have control of the steering wheel, the gas pedal. This is your windshield in front of you. You see where you need to do your work. Start working on those specific prompts and drive your scores up. It's going to get your overall SAT performance up quickly. I can look for the same thing in the writing sections as well with all the various subprompts. Maybe I need to work on verbs, finite, non-finite, modifiers, or possessive issues. These seem to be weak areas. So I might focus on those, not so much pronouns, which this user seems to be doing very well on. And of course, I can drive right into those. Verbs, finite, non-finite. I'm going to start working on those. I might need to learn something about it, but I can start practicing on it and focus on that central page where I can easily see where I need to drive my scores up and where I need to work. At this point, you're probably already well prepared for the SAT, reading and writing exam. Alternatively, you're in a great position to move on, work with other tutors or other resources that might add additional value to the exam. And you'll appreciate it more because you'll understand how you perform and you'll understand how to approach, or at least one way to approach, different specific question prompts on the exam. Last but not least, it could set you up for our tutoring, which is a different approach entirely. Unlike all-you-can-eat buffets, where everybody learns everything, we use this tool to set you up so you only need to learn or focus your very expensive tutoring costs on the areas where you need help, which can save you at least half the time and more than half the cost. And if you're interested, let us know. We're happy to help.